Giovanni. There she is. And then Annette Morton, who is unable to be with us tonight, but her lovely husband James is over here. So I am proud. You guys can sit, stand, whichever's more comfortable. We don't have a microphone, but we are live streaming, so you're welcome to watch this afterwards. We've changed our format up a little bit tonight, but really our main point is to just build some women power here and talk a little bit about what's at stake in 2022. And so I'm going to introduce, first of all, our Senator, Lena Gonzalez, who was one of the most progressive champions on City Council and continues to be that fighter in the Senate, and I'm sure that she's exhausted from lots of committee meetings. So we're going to have her say a few words. Then we're going to pass it over to Ada, who is the wonderful chairwoman of the Orange County Democratic Party. Then we've got Sona Coffey, who is one of our sustainability commissioners here in the city of Long Beach. And then we've got Sarah with no H, Dr. Professor Sarah with no H. And her mother just moved here from Wisconsin. They got cheese curds. So she's here. And she talks about intersectional feminism and teaches at Whittier College. And so we got a great panel. We won't try to keep it too long, but I'm going to pass it over to our senator to just say a few words about what she's been working on, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, thank you. It's crazy because I come back from Sacramento. You know, I talked to Janine. Yeah, I talked to Janine this week, and I said, okay, what's the event going to look like? And Janine just is a rock star because she's like started this new gig, and then she's a mom, and she's doing all these things. I'm like, I don't know what to say. What do I do? She's like, just be yourself, just be out there, and we're going to say all these great things. And then I come here and see all these incredible people here from home, and it's just wonderful to see you all together and just in this space of a day that is Cesar Chavez Day, a day that's Transgender Visibility Day, and a day that is also in Women's History Month, the final day. So it's really cool to be here. I just came from Sacramento a couple hours ago, and we had about 20 hours of committee meetings. So it's been really tiring, but I couldn't say no to being here. And so over this last year, we've been really, really busy. And I know I've worked with many of you on a lot of good bills, and I'll talk about them and what's to come. Because California, as we know, we're a progressive state. And yes, we fight like hell for working people. We fight for reproductive justice. We fight for climate justice, but not all of us do. So, you know, it's something that I want to make sure that we relay when I'm in Sacramento. But first things first, as it pertains to reproductive justice, I have some great news. We passed SB 245 with a lot of my friends here. Ebony from NARAL. And that was a bill, as you know, the SB 8s of the world in Texas are saying no. There's over 100 bans to reproductive justice for pregnant people all over the country. And California said, screw that. We're actually going to have something in place that will eliminate all copays and deductibles for pregnant people who are seeking abortion care. We're going to be a true reproductive freedom state. And so with help from Ebony and NARAL and Black Women for Wellness and with Latinas for Reproductive Justice and so many others, Equality California, we got this passed. We got it passed so fast, the governor was ready to sign it. He was just so excited. So we got that passed, and now we know that pregnant people across the country are going to come out of state. They're going to come to California. We know that there's going to be a 3,000% increase because of all these bans, but we know we're doing the right thing for access to care for everybody. And that's huge. Another thing as it pertains to climate justice, and this has been always a doozy up in Sacramento, it's been really, really tough, I will tell you. It's been tough, but what I always say is, you know, I left a good paying job down here. I left my family. I left all of you. I don't see you half the week. I haven't seen a lot of my friends for a very long time because I'm in Sacramento half the week. But the reason I came there is because I wanted to be out there when it comes to climate justice. We have no other excuses to make. When the UN is telling us that we've got to get the degrees down, when we have Exide that is still polluting, when we have soil contamination, water contamination, our air quality is the worst in all over the nation, just in the South Coast Basin alone, we know we got work to do. And I want to ensure that we're working not just with our environmental justice friends, but also with our labor partners to ensure that we're doing this together in unison, because it affects us all no matter what. So I actually have a bill. Of course, it's another big crazy bill. Everyone's like, Leah, what the heck are you doing? I'm like, I came here to party. So
transformation!
It's a crazy one on the surface, but I'll explain. It's to divest our CalPERS and CalSTRS pensions from fossil fuels.
Absolutely.
Yes! That's right. And I'm putting my money where my mouth is, because I actually have a CalPERS for my over a decade of being with the city of Long Beach. But what I will say is there's so many folks that have done it. The CSUs have done it. The UCs have done it. In fact, they have better returns because they're now investing into green technology, and I think it's wonderful that we're doing this. It's going to be a fight, but I'm looking forward to just the discussion to have with my labor partners. So California Faculty Association, the Federation of Teachers, CTA has a whole divest organization that really wants to ensure that this is at the forefront. And then going to housing, you know, we just passed rental protections, and it's been tough for a lot of folks. We know that housing stability is tough in California, and especially with folks leaving the state, and it's mostly lower income folks leaving the state of California. And so what are we doing? And so just this past week, we did pass a small protection for about 300,000 folks that are in the queue right now that applied for rental protections. So they will have rental protections, but there's so many other millions that will not. And so I'm actually asking many of you what we need to do, because we may have to have follow-up legislation to protect so many other people, many hardworking folks that were the backbone of our economy. We need to help them as much as we can. And so I'm looking to you all to give me insight on how we can help those other million or so folks from just falling off the cliff from eviction. So we have some work to do there. But all in all, I will stop talking. I want to say thank you. I am so proud of these women here too. Both Sarah, Sona, and Ada are amazing women, as well as the women of Long Beach. Thank you so much for all the work you do. I can't tell you enough.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Go be a mom. Enjoy.
Now it's off to Little League for me.
Okay, she's off to Little League.
Good to see you.
And so real quick, before we move on, I'd like to ask you guys, and this can be for the panel or it can be for somebody out there, just what do you guys think are going to be the biggest hurdles to accomplishing some of the goals that our senator just talked about? I know that's a tough question. Support? Getting more people to support? Talking to...
Exposure, getting the message out there.
Corporate greed.
Corporate greed, I think, is what we're seeing. What's happened in the middle of the pandemic? The gap is getting bigger and bigger, right?
How we can involve ourselves, what can we do to help?
Well, we get to sit around here after the panel's done and talk to each other and come up with some new ideas, right? So I'd like to pass it over now to our wonderful chairwoman, Ada Briseño. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
I did. I practiced it in the car. So I've had the pleasure of working with Ada on the community side when we were fighting for hotel workers here in the city of Long Beach. And we're going to hear a little bit about what her journey's been like. And yes, and we got arrested. Annette and I got arrested thanks to hotel workers asking us. We said, of course we would. Even though we didn't get to go inside the jail. I was kind of bummed. Anyways, so I'm going to turn it over to you to share a little bit and maybe ask another question and hopefully keep having fun. Okay, take it away.
Thank you. I want to thank Janine, and I just want to say for a moment that I could have heard the senator for a longer time. She is definitely impressive, and the issues that she brought up really speak to my heart, and it's a testament that Democrats deliver, folks. And so we have a lot of work to do in the upcoming election cycle, but I want to talk a little bit about myself. I'm an immigrant. I came from Nicaragua. When I was 6 years old, I fled a dictator and a civil war. And in fact, what's happening in our world right now with Ukraine really brings back difficult moments that I lived as a child. And it's bringing back a lot of trauma that my family has lived as well. So I just want to say that I feel very fortunate to be in this country. And I mostly feel like I took the path that I did because my voice was shut down in my country. And so for me, having a voice and making sure that others have a voice is really crucial. And I think that's really what democracy is about. And so, you know, as an immigrant, I share the same story of many immigrant families. I integrated into a school system back then that couldn't really help me. I didn't know the language, and so I was always behind, you know, in my studies. I had to go into the workforce very early. At 13 years old, and I worked a whole bunch of jobs. And right out of high school, I went to San Pedro High, so very close by. Right out of high school, I entered my first union job, where in the 90s I was making a couple more dollars an hour than I was in the other jobs that I had. I had my best meal of the day in the hotel, and I got my first pair of glasses. But what I really did not understand is that I was going to find my passion in that hotel. And that the most important thing that I found was that I had a voice, and that I can speak up for myself, and that I can bring and agitate my coworkers to demand more for themselves. And that's really where my journey began. I started working in the union office at 18 years old. And for the next 8 years, I worked every single department in the union until this amazing, inspiring senator, Maria Elena Durazo, really inspired me to run for the top office of my union. And I did that, was very successful, and that's where it all started. And, you know, the worst was yet to come. I was leading a strong union in Orange County, where people that looked like me or represented people that looked like our dishwashers and cooks were not really welcome. And really battled out a whole lot of discrimination and difficulty in the quest of really changing, you know, my union from a grassroots, you know, from a top-led union to a grassroots union. And so I would say that it took us a good 8 years maybe to do that. And while it was the toughest thing I've done, it's the thing that I feel most proud about. Because we empowered dishwashers and cooks to really take leadership in their lives, to decide to stand up for themselves. Thank you. Not only in their workplace, but to be leaders. When you lead in your workplace, when you stand up for your rights, then you can't look back to what's happening to your kid in school or in your apartment building or in your city or in your nation. And so that's why I'm still 30 years later part of Unite Here Local 11. I had the honor of working alongside with Derek Smith, and that's definitely where I met Janine. And so what I noticed is that really, you know, in Orange County, the elected officials that were there really didn't understand the plight of hotel workers. And so I decided to start helping in politics. We always worked in politics, but not internally in the party. And we had a few successes, you know, in our belt. But I started going and working within the structures of the party, and they liked me. They liked what I had to bring. And I am now in my second term working with Democrats in Orange County, where last election cycle we turned 20 seats from red to blue. We are now in school boards, we are now majority Democrats. We are taking over city councils, and in fact we passed heroes pay in quite a few cities, where usually we would go from LA and skip Orange County to San Diego. We are not skipping Orange County any further. We are not skipping Orange County. And so I'm proud to, you know, be part of the reform group that's making sure that Orange County moves forward. And often I'm empowered by working alongside powerful women, and I feel like that's, you know, along with immigration and Medicare for all and workers' rights, that's one of my passions, is to train and develop, you know, women leaders, whether it's for the workplace and the union to be part of a union or whether it's for them to run for an office in Orange County. So I'm really proud and happy to be alongside all of you, and we have Long Beach to follow right next door. I think it's really important to have a great example, and you have some tremendous leaders here, and I'm proud to be among all of you tonight. And I have a question for you all. This pandemic has been very difficult, and you know, for all of us, and it's really changed the way that we have lived and thought about things. And so as leaders in our community, my question to you is, what is it that we are looking for to change in California, and specifically in Long Beach, to move out of this pandemic? And so
I'd love to call on a young lady in the back, and you can stay there because the camera actually can see you.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you for having me. My name is Deanna Knowles, and I'm a cashier and a resident right here in downtown Long Beach. And I've been with the Rouse Company for the past 16 years. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but we're in a fight right now for economic justice in the workplace right now, specifically in the grocery stores. We're demanding a living wage. We're demanding a living wage for this multi-billion-dollar company. I mean, for the past 2 years, myself and my union brothers and sisters have been in the store. We've been on the front line. And we're just asking for a living wage, specifically a $5 increase is what we're asking for over the next 2 years. And disappointingly, the companies have come back and they're offering us $1.80. If you break that down, that's 60 cents. That's totally disrespectful, you know. As a union, we're trying to bring back respect, integrity back inside the workplace, and we just want a living wage. So I hopefully I come to you as we move forward and as leaders in our community, we actively support us. Please look at the tax price. Last week we had a whole worker striking from 95%. So our members are ready to go. We're locked ready to go. So we just want people to actively support us. I'm a community worker just like my brothers and sisters, and we're just trying to live. So I just come to you and ask that you support us. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing your story. If you want to take some other answers from the audience.
Who else has a response? What do we need in California?
Equity in education.
That's right. That's right. Anybody else?
Yes,
Specifically?
education, but implementation that has accountability.
Yes.
We can talk about it all we want, but we gotta do something about it.
Gotta do the work.
Yes.
To make sure when we talk about inclusion, diversity, and equity, that we don't just talk about it, but we be about it. Because in certain areas, I'm a community leader, advocate, and when it comes to people with disabilities, they say we're included, but then we're often still looked upon as an afterthought. And we're tired of being an afterthought. We want to be one thought and allow us to be in the conversation.
Thank you. That's powerful. Maybe a couple more hands right here.
We need more events like this, but we also need it in other, like schools, senior citizen homes, places where you wouldn't normally go, because people wouldn't normally come here.
Yeah. That's right. Thank you for that. Miss? Is there a hand? One more hand back here? So is also equity in can you repeat it again?
Oh, man.
I'll recap it for folks. You don't have to stand. I'll recap it for folks.
I was talking about when it comes to inclusion, diversity, and equity, that we don't just be about it. What did I say? We don't just talk about it, but be about it. Because I don't really feel that. I'm not gonna just say Long Beach. I just feel, in period, that we don't really follow inclusion and diversity like we should, especially when it comes to minority groups. And I'm gonna speak about the people with disability because that's what I am. We're often left behind, even though you say we're at the table, but we're really not until somebody like me brings it up.
So equity and inclusion for everyone, not just say it, but live it.
Something that I was thinking is that this is election year and we have a huge turnout for happening in Long Beach. And this is when we can make demands. So I feel like we need to get better organized and put their feet to the fire.
I appreciate
Give
that.
that woman a clipboard.
Thank you.
on it.
That was a great segue. Thank you so much. So we're going to keep on rolling, and we hope again that you keep having these conversations after the panel is over. So Sona Coffey, our sustainability officer, or commissioner.
Commissioner, yes. Thank you all. It's good to see all of you and see so many smiling faces. We were just talking about this as we're starting to do more of these gatherings and have more events together in person. It's nice to do this via faces versus just the Zoom screen. So thank you all for coming out and being out here to support this. As Janine mentioned, I serve here in the city of Long Beach as a Sustainable City Commissioner. So what that means is I'm a resident advocate, a resident activist, a resident expert in some of these issues. I work, sustainability is what I do all day, all night, all the time, it feels like, with this work, because it does touch everything, right? Everything in your life really that we're working on goes back to public health, health of our environment, and health of our planet. So everything that we're doing as a community, as a business, as an individual, somewhere in there, you're going to touch on sustainability issues. So I feel sometimes like you really are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders when you're trying to do environmental activism and environmental work. For here in the city of Long Beach, we were just talking about coming out of the pandemic, and what we got to see being in the pandemic, like right as we were starting, looking at these issues of social justice and public health, and looking at the communities in Long Beach that were hit the hardest. And when you're looking at the communities in Long Beach that are hit the hardest, you can add another layer on top of that with the environmental burden. And so you're looking at the environmental justice concerns, the public health concerns, and the social justice concerns all in one layer over certain segments of our population and our communities that are frontline. So frontline to the freeways, frontline to the port, frontline to industry. And when you're looking at those issues and how do you tackle that and how do you really start to make changes in these areas to improve quality of life, you're now getting into issues where you want to change the status quo, you're changing business as usual, and you're changing methods of profit in a community, and not just in a community, for the nation, right? We're LA Long Beach, the port and the harbor here, the busiest in the country. It's not a little thing to ask them to, you know what, we need to have greener trucks. We need to have cleaner air. We need to have the city go away from fossil fuels. You're hitting all the big things in a community where there's built-in interest around it. And we were talking a little bit about this earlier. What are some of the challenges to getting, women change makers in office? These are the challenges you're going to face as you have built-in opposition that don't want to change. Ada mentioned greed, right? So we have built-in political greed, corporate greed. There's a lot of things that we have to deal with. And for us as the environmental advocates, sustainability advocates, we're looking for solutions. And I think that's part of the role that I get to play, is I get to see through this lens, like where we're looking for the environmental improvement, where there's a business opportunity, and where can we get political support behind it. And when you're looking at that, you really do see it. It opens a whole another world for you to be able to look at and understand that there are opportunities and there are options for us to take. And it's really hearing from all segments of the community. And so I think in my role, I get to do that, where most people are kind of siloed in your little world and you are only working on one issue, but I get to hear from seniors, I get to hear from people in the environmental justice community, I get to hear from schools and business and industry, and trying to understand what all the concerns are, what the challenges are, and then, okay, can we find a path forward? Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, and the work continues. So this will, I think, never be solved in a moment, right? Solved in a day, but those are some of the things we started to see coming out of 2020, 2021, now we're in 2022, and are we able to move forward? City by city, we're starting to see action and changes happening. Long Beach was really active last year and the year before, coming together with their plans for equity, including environmental justice in that. So we can't have social justice if you don't have environmental justice. They were aware of that, right? And I think it's because we had so much activism around it and so much input from the community to bring those issues forward. And now we're taking on the next fight with this, with our Sustainability Commission, looking at this for Long Beach in particular, when you're looking at our local issues, but then you're looking at global issues and what's going on in the world today with the war in Ukraine and how much of that has been funded through the fossil fuel industry all of these decades. And so if we're looking at it through that lens, if we are transitioning our communities away from fossil fuels, can we have a more peaceful and habitable planet in the future? And so these are the things we're asking Long Beach. Long Beach is a big oil city. We have 100 years of history of it here. Can we transition the city away from this? And can we look at the alternatives and start to take action on that today? Our Sustainability Commission has recommended it. We were asking for a climate emergency. We're asking for our Energy Resources Department to come up with that plan to phase off of fossil fuels. It's something the mayor has asked for. Our climate committee, council committee, is going to be talking about it sometime this month. Fingers crossed. Keep an eye out for when that's coming to the committee, so you can advocate there and put your input in there. But it's something that'll help the city galvanize around a movement and around an idea, and start to see, okay, if this is where we want to go, this is where we need to start today, is by making that first step and making that commitment. So with that, that's a little bit about what I do and a little bit about the work behind it. Like I mentioned at the start, it is a challenge. It feels like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. And I wanted to hear from you and from the panelists, the work that we all do is hard. This is not an easy undertaking. So I wanted to hear how you can ground yourself and how you keep yourself inspired to keep doing the hard work that we do. Whoever wants to start, Autumn, Sarah.
No, I listened to you, and I said, I'm not doing enough. Yeah. How do we keep our compass when the water is over our head? I think about, hearing your guys' stories. I think personally about the moments in my life where I knew who I was, and then I try to touch that again, and then bring it back, and then motivate to swim even though I'm tired, and no one else is swimming next to me. But
Swimming next to you.
I mean, yeah, but then you come here, and then you have a Zoom happy hour that turns into like the happiest hour we probably had in a year. So I mean, anyway, journaling.
Yeah, keep your sanity
memories
that way.
and full facial contact.
I have, I think, 3 things that I can say. I have a religious walk every morning for an hour. It just keeps me going. The other thing is I have a lot of badass women that I'm constantly talking to, and that makes me feel incredible. They lift me up from anything. And then I either get a chance to visit a club, the Democratic Club, and see the work that is being done, or I go see workers and remember the hard work that they're doing and the incredible sacrifices that they're making, and then whatever I'm dealing with, becomes easier. Yeah.
Does anyone in the crowd have an idea or something that touches them, that keeps them inspired and raring to go? Yeah.
I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, right? And I think about the world that I want them to be in, right? And the people that I want them to be, and that's what
It's beautiful.
So, for a moment, we'll do announcements at the end, but I just want to recognize Joni, who's running for council in CD9.
Joni! Woo!
Make sure you get to talk to her before you leave. Okay.
Great.
What else do you guys do? Keep yourself grounded.
The good stuff.
Dancing. Nita?
So I have a few things that I do. One is I have grandchildren. And they are growing up to be incredible. Well, they're grown now. I'm old. They have become incredible beings, as is myself. So that keeps me grounded. But the other thing that keeps me grounded is working with incredible people. And I'm going to put this plug in now in case you want to go away. We are actually a PAC, which means we're a political action committee.
That's great.
Which means that we need to elect people who understand things the way we understand things, or will listen to us as we talk about them. So this is what we're about. You guys are what we're about. We need to, and Lena for sure is what we're about. But we need to make sure this is, in Long Beach, I think, an inflection moment. Yes. I think we could lose everything we worked hard, asses in our shoes off for, walking in front of the hotel since 7 in the morning, go away if we don't elect Joni. I could go through the list. But you have a list of people we have endorsed. Those are the people we need to elect. And that will be me.
Let's keep data grounded. Let's keep her peaceful.
In the back.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell the truth. And keep it clean. What keeps me going is I live through my heart. You know, it's no pre-planned lifestyle. I do it because it comes from my heart. I love people and I love to help. And I hate people, period. So there's no hidden or there's no certain agenda. Music, dancing, talking, socializing, all of this adds. But then for me to keep going when it's bad days, like you said, sir, when you're under the water, you should by yourself. I rely on my heart. And so I allow my heart to direct me and still keep going because who says it better? God needs to be the change you want.
Must be the change you want to see in the world. That's right.
I love Pam! I got you, Pam! We're swimming.
And swimming.
Why don't you take it away, Sarah?
Okay, all right. I'm with these electeds. I'm a boring academic. So,
Academics are great.
here's a 20. All right. Okay. And this is all going whatever. So I'm Sarah Angevine. I'm a professor of political science at Whittier College, and I'm just going to share a little like why I care about political science and dedicated my entire life to it, like forever and ever. And it has to do with junior high and learning about apartheid, right? And I remember I watched this movie called Power of One, and now I'm like individualist, like white savior complex, but I was, you know, a kid in the Midwest, and I was like, wow, what's happening here? And I learned about it, and I couldn't believe it was still going on. And then we were doing like our 8th grade reports on it, and then it was dissolved. And this new constitution came in and this new democracy, and I couldn't believe it from like early on. So it always had been like my like aspirational, like people are amazing and good, they're just over in South Africa, like we have to go there and see where the truth and reconciliation, all the ways in which that people have this capacity to be amazing. And and then I went, I mean, I don't want to go too long on all these stories, but basically going there, I went there to study abroad. I was, and then I ended up doing my master's in gender studies there, and then I ended up taking my students there, which was like beautiful ARC and all these kind of things, and working with the communities and seeing the new obstacles, right, like global capitalism that kind of destroyed some of the initial plans to really create an inclusive democracy that would meet everyone's needs. I mean, anyway, long stories. But that helped mobilize me to say, I want to know everything about power, right? Because the decisions are made now a lot with data, right? So that's what I do. I teach, you know, these courses, but I'm really interested in teaching all my students about how to understand data and how to use it so that it's not used against you, right? And I think that is now the way that we're rationalizing exploitation, we're rationalizing all the tactics that dehumanize our connection to one another. And so having a benchmark of like where we can be, like all of us, as well as an understanding of the rules of the game now, right? So I went in, I mean, there's like lots of like personal narratives, right? All of our lives are rich, and I want to have time for everyone to speak to your own stories, but I thought that would be something to take away. And then I'll say a little bit about the relationship I see now between academia and activism, right? Because I'm a scholar activist, and I try to embody it as well as keep my job, because it takes a lot of time with the students and the research and doing all that kind of stuff. But I'm partially really, I miss this. I used to work on campaigns. This was much more my comfort level, but I didn't like the fact that decisions were being made somewhere else. and I didn't know how they were being made. so I'm gonna get that PhD, and then they can't not tell me what's happening. And now I just want to be a weapon for good. So please help, like, tell me what to do, or research directions, things like that, and building stronger bridges between the ground and all the ways in which academia could do a better job. And we're under attack too with global capitalism and lectures and exploitation. It's like, I mean, I see it as an issue that's political and in nature. But the other thing to think about is how we build coalitions amongst one another, right? And thinking about intersectional feminism, thinking about our diversity, equity, inclusion language and practice, and what we can do to restore trust, how we can listen, how we can do this in a more unified front, and know that we don't all agree with one another. We don't all trust each other, and there's reasons why, and that's fair, right? And that we need to all kind of take a step back to all take a step forward, or, all those step back, step forward metaphors. But thinking about intersectional feminism, right? And what that could really be. So my question is, what does intersectional feminism mean to you? And maybe I can start with the panelists, or I can throw it back out, depending on how you guys want to answer. But what does intersectional feminism mean to you, and how does it show up in your daily practice?
I'd love to hear from the audience.
Start with the audience?
Yeah.
And is the term too academic-y? I think it's kind of come back to the streets, especially with the March for Women's Lives and the critiques and stuff. But like, let's talk about what we think it means and what we want it to mean, and if we should continue to use this idea to build a coalition, or is it just a bumper sticker? Yes.
I was really excited you were talking about 8th grade, because I'm an 8th grade teacher.
It's all happening in 8th grade, man. Junior high, puberty, and 8th grade! All right.
But I think part of intersectional feminism for me is realizing that all of our lives are political. If we think that they're not political, that's also a political choice, a political statement. And so in my work, I really, really want to help students. My 8th graders who are 13 and 14 are going to be able to vote very, very soon. They're going to be voting. They'll have the same vote as all of us. That, like, racial justice and gender justice and environmental justice and unions are all part of this web, right? It's not just one thing, and we all have the things that we care about. I really care about reproductive justice, but they're all connected, right? And you have to start understanding that in 7th grade and 8th grade and 9th grade, because very soon you're going to be voting. So if people think that, like, education or teaching in public school is not political, it is. And so that's part of my work, is helping teachers, my colleagues, understand that everything that we do is political. Every lesson that we teach every day is political, and helping our students shape their opinions as future voters.
Yes! I remember my 8th grade teacher, Mr. Bolzer. You're shaping lives. Other thoughts?
Anybody else? Intersectional feminism? Or how our issues intersect, if we want to not... Go ahead.
So I'm going to raise the two things that we have to make sure are included in this intersectional feminism. One is older women. We need to know. There are more of us, so we live longer. That's one thing about us. And the other is the disability community, which frequently get left out. Both those groups frequently get left out of all the conversations. So that's what I want to raise into.
Yeah.
Or shall we just say wiser women? Experience. Experience.
I'm also a teacher. I teach special education. So I definitely, when I talked about equity in education, I definitely thought about my students in special education. And aside from thinking about who we are as women, it's also issues-based. Like when we talk about environmental justice, when we talk about industrialization and militarism across the world. So it's talking about seeing our struggles within a wider range and how that affects women all around the world, right? Even if we don't see it as feminism, it is, because we're everywhere.
like a moment of privilege because I forgot to say that I'm a lesbian, and I had wanted to say that. So, this is like, well, no, I mean that's how I claim it. But I know, shock. But I was going to say, you know, and it's Trans Visibility Day too. So thinking about sexuality, homonormativity as all being part of that too. And I meant to put that in the intersection. Not that that should affect how you listen to me.
I love it. Okay.
Oh, it's
Any
on
other
this
questions?
machine too.
Any other
Great.
answers?
Out forever.
So I'll
My students are going to be like, we knew it.
Oh, you're right. Your professors are going to change. So I think the intersectional question is so important because we've talked about workers, right? We've got grocery workers, hotel workers, our frontline nurses, all those people that carried us through this pandemic. Teachers, obviously, right? Teachers that went through hell during this pandemic. More so than the parents sometimes at home trying to figure out how to manage a job from home with your children at home. And then when we talk about climate, we know that we lose 7 million lives a year. And often those lives are people of color. They're people that live near our freeways, by our ports, and those are the workers that are fighting to make sure that they have fair jobs. Hey, you. Good to see you. Speaking about climate. And so I want to recognize that we're over on time, but that this intersectionality is really what I think when I hear the board members of the Women's PAC speak, it's how do we talk about these issues on the door to voters? How do we make sure that we're saying these people, while the women of Long Beach might have endorsed Rex Richardson, a man, or George, who's in the back, that it really is that intersection to say they show up, right? And they vote on these issues and they understand that we have to take apart to not sound, wonky or, over the top, the patriarchal system that we have all existed in. And so I think for the Women's PAC, it's raising enough money to make sure that they can communicate that on a door in a way that really resonates with people. And so I just want to recognize all of our panelists, and I want to bring up one more panelist that has been very, very busy. And so welcome to Nua.
Yeah.
Nua, I'm just going to say, Nua has been a leader in the economic realm in Long Beach for a while. She is one of the most badass women I've got to meet, and she's going to close us out tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Can I be heard?
That microphone.
It's just
it's
decoration.
It goes to the it's live
Going to the world.
Oh, I scared somebody.
Long Beach is where it started.
So first of all, you ladies are fantastic, and let's give it up for Janine.
Yes. Very good.
I'm not going to talk long. I said, Janine, I'm here. I'm ready to talk about housing, affordable housing, economic inequality, the things that we need to do on those subject matters, which is what I work on every day. But I won't go into all that because we've been talking for some time and having some great conversations about other very important topics. I'm going to tell you, when I walked into this room, I was so excited to see you all here. We need this. We've missed this. Thank you. And this is the beginning of what we need to do to build the conversation, the movement, the energy, the connection around what we need to accomplish this year in 2022. So she asked me to close it out, and so I will. We know that the voters of this city have got a number of really important elections before them. You all are shaking your head because you've already given, you've already started talking to people about it and making sure that we're electing the right candidates. The topics that we went over here, from climate issues, racial equity, the widening income inequality gap, as well as making sure that we house as many people as we possibly can. That's right. And I love it. You all talked about the fact that in order to build, we got to start with women. And women of color and women of all shades of whoever decides that womanhood is where they want to be. So for today, I'd just like to ask you, thank you for showing up. Thank you for inviting somebody else to be here, to listening to our fantastic panelists. Make sure you give to this movement and support the Women of Long Beach PAC. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for all your work.
I'm going to recognize our sponsors real fast because I didn't do that at the beginning.
Okay.
So, Ada, thank you so very much. Eris Technologies. Belcanto Books is in the back, guys. They're giving part of their proceeds, so buy a book for somebody. We like buying books for candidates that are running for office to make sure that they're well-versed in our issues. Code of Harmony, Councilwoman Cindy Allen, Councilwoman Mary Zendejas, Dr. Christine Pettit, Ebony, 8th grade teacher giving it up over here. Jackie, LBUSD School Board member Megan Kerr, our palmistry back in the back is Luna Tristisa. Mayor Robert Garcia, UFCW, Dr. Nada Tushnet, and we got a few others that came on board today, but just really want to say thank you guys. Continue the conversation. Do any of the board members want to have anything else?
I just wanted to thank everybody for coming tonight. I wanted to
Jackie,
tell
give it
about
up for Jackie.
I want to tell about the first time that I met Tunua. I don't know if you remember. She was running for city council, and she was walking on Long Beach Boulevard, and I was in Black Coffee.
Jackie, why don't you come a little bit in the camera screen?
I worked at Michelle Obama Library there. I worked in the library, and I was up at Blackberry Coffee to get a cup of coffee, and she was walking the neighborhoods by herself to run for city council. And she came up to me and talked to me, and I was so impressed with everything that she said. She didn't win that race, but this is the kind of person we need in local government representing us.
Yes, thank you, Jackie. Will you say good night? Was that the end?
Well, I think that we're doing really great work here, and I want to recognize a bunch of my teacher friends that are here. The teachers have been doing great work. That's real community service they're doing for us. So, all right, and make sure before you go tonight, we still have lots more postcards to fill out. We have address labels, stamps. We're going to address these, and we're going to mail them to Long Beach voters, because we can't have just the 3rd, 4th, 5th district vote for our elected officials. They can't be the ones that vote in everybody. We have to have representative government. And the only way we do that is everybody votes, everybody in. And that's what intersectional feminism means to me, that we're all represented and we all have a voice. And that's, thank
You guys ready to end this and start drinking some more?
Yeah. I think someone said dancing.
Buy some raffle tickets. We've got Weston, a great union hotel that we fought hard for. We've got 555 and a bunch of other things. Fill out your cards, meet somebody you haven't met before, and commit to doing this again with us soon.